Strings. I'm Naomi.
I'm Beth.
I'm Eve.
We are always laughing at the beginning of videos because I'm ready and they're never ready. They say they're ready, and so I start the video and then they're never ready. So that's why we're always laughing. It has nothing. It's not like an inside joke or anything. It's just because we can never actually start. But anyway, Beth's starting today. Yes. So anyway, happy January.
Yeah.
Mid.
I'm sick, so I'm going to try not to cough through this video, but we'll see.
And I'm not sick, and I probably will be by the time I leave here.
Because I got sick because she was sick, and she got sick because her son was sick, and so we,
it's the plague.
It's made the rounds.
Yeah, you like to sick from somebody.
So anyway, the first thing I wanted to talk about was that we got some Happy Mail. I'm assuming from a viewer. The return address on the envelope says the Double Cross Stitcher in I can't read it sideways. Bethany, Illinois.
So thank you, wherever you are.
And what we got was
comment below with your
name,
so we can
say. Yeah, absolutely.
We got some patterns. So this is the first one, the Nebby Needle, Hope Blooms. It says ripple effect patterns.
Okay, what does that mean? Ripple effect patterns sprang from an idea of Meg Ripples, an avid stitcher. Meg asked if I would design cross-stitch patterns of inspiration for her fellow cancer patients. Although Meg lost her battle with cancer, I carry on her vision with this pattern. The Nebby Needle profits from this design will be donated to the American Cancer Society in Meg's memory. Oh, how nice.
Yeah, so it has a little pillow that says Hope Blooms on there.
It's really beautiful. And
then this is part of the Meow the Merrier series. This is by Darling and Whimsy Designs. Little cat planter things.
Cat planter heads?
Yeah.
That's so cute.
What does it say? Plant pots. PAWTS. That's very cute. And then this pattern by Stitchy Pros called Soul Gardeners. Friends are the gardeners of our souls. A couple of really cute birdies.
It's a sampler. That's so cute.
Yeah, and
that appeals to me. I love. I don't know. I really like those. Not that I've actually finished one ever.
But actually, these are very easy. The wording, the lettering goes really quickly.
Yeah.
I can't tell if those are specialty stitches or not, though. If they're like sworn acrosses or.
It's pretty.
But yeah, and it's very simple. Also, it's just
I like samplers. They appeal to me.
So thank you to whoever sent those to us. To the Double Cross Stitcher, if you're the one who sent them or whatever.
Thank you.
So yeah, we were very surprised that to get that in the mail. It was really nice.
It's fun.
Let's get this out of the way. So I'm gonna go first.
Ugly.
Yeah. Sorry. So I've been working. I still have to do my FFO stuff because I didn't do it because in here it was all topsy-turvy for Christmas. So now I have to make it topsy-turvy so I can FFO stuff. Because I have to get out the iron and get out my stuff and whatever. But anyway, in the meantime, I was working on my January stitching things for WIP-GO. And the first one I had was this Sleepy Hollow from the Tiny Monitors. Excuse me a minute. Yeah, we're just I'll cough into these. Excuse me. Anyway, the problem with this was that when I started it, first of all, I'd realized until last Saturday that I had not finished the border. I thought I had finished it, but I had about 6 of these little medallion things to go, and I realized that when I was folding it to show it on my video, and I folded it and I was like, wait, that's half a medallion. And then I realized it was not finished. And also, I have a little bit of the green on here to finish. But also, I realized when I was working on this that I had done the one green color stripes across the bottom, and I had miscounted in one place.
Yeah, I think you told us about that last week.
And so everything was all wrong. So I So I went and did. I
Oh,
didn't.
well, you did a lot.
Yeah, I did all the stuff that goes up against that green. So I did all the skeletons are done. The dancing skeletons and they're sparkly. And so I put in the pumpkins and all the black stuff here in the end because it all or at least part of it, so that I know what goes where. And so I'm gonna have to I like on this where the bottom of this tree is the tree stump. It's supposed to be a tree, but I just have the stump. Uh, um, but so I'm having to stitch over where the gap is off. So, because I left all these lovely gaps when I did the green, but they're wrong. So I just like stitched over the green with whatever I was working with, so that I know whenever I get back to this someday, I'll know how to correct it. It's already the stuff that goes into the grass is already in the right place, so everything else just has to be fudged around it, and the other color, the other shade of green, and all that. So, but otherwise, yeah, I made pretty good progress on that, and so that was my first WIP-GO pull, and the other WIP-GO pull for this month was multiple parts. I had all these rabbit things, so I think I had not put the rest of the rabbit patterns on my WIP-GO. I think I just put this cluster of them. So I had finished the first 3 for this year, January, February, and March. So this is April, and I had just one little bunny done. So I worked on this, and I now have, and it actually goes upside down like this. I have 2 bunnies now, and I think I did all of this red color for the flowers. I did all of that. So I made some progress. I didn't finish any of the rabbits, but I made some progress on them. And this was May. And so on this, all I had was the one flower, and it wasn't even quite finished. So I finished that one flower, and then I put some bunnies in there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And I did a few more of all this inside stuff, a little bit of that inside stuff. This one was the furthest along, and I was hoping I could finish it, but I didn't. This is June, and so
The month isn't over yet.
Yeah, I still have, I have this other pattern in here because they're sharing a fabric. So I added one more bunny. So this is actually almost like halfway through. And I did some of this center stuff.
That's pretty.
But I think that, I have they're just little individual details around there that are, and I have, the other bunnies.
Do you have an idea how you're going to finish all those bunnies?
Yeah, because actually on my FFO list for WIP-GO is to finish the January, February, March bunnies, and the idea is I have these I have a large one and a small one, and I have to look and see which one they'll look better on, but it's like it's a metal canister with a wooden lid that I got at the dollar spot at Target, I believe. Is where I got them both. And like I said, one is larger and one is smaller, so I'm going to see which one they look better on. But my idea is borrowed from the Stitching with the Housewives idea of, how she always uses magnets to mount her things on so that she can just switch out the ideas. So what I want to do is use a magnet or magnets on the lid of this box and finish the patterns to fit on that lid. So the rest of them can be stored inside the box, and I can just switch them out by the month.
I see.
So
cool.
That's the idea. Yeah. So I have 3 that are finished that are waiting in the wings that are on my FFO list.
I see.
For the month. And then hopefully someday I'll finish the rest of these.
I had this vision of that photo album that Mom had that was like a flip.
Uh-huh.
I thought you could make them on something that on a card or something that would flip over, so that every month you could flip it. I don't know. That's. Oh, I just kicked your dog.
She's sorry. She's
Come here. I'm sorry.
So this is June,
sorry.
which is which is what I'm working. No, July. Excuse me. This is July. There's a dog on me. She's over here garnering sympathy.
All right.
She says, please, I'm so put upon. Everybody's kicking me. Everybody's always kicking me.
You can see her right here. He's so cute. Okay, get down. Okay, get down.
So this is July. This is the one I've been working on more recently. And so on this one, I just had part of the border here in one corner and part of one bunny done. So I finished this one bunny, and all of this red is the inside of the ears and the nose for nose and eye for each of the bunnies. All this little sort of random redness, and I did one more corner. So I'm kind of working my way around the border actually, because this border, most of them don't have a continuous border all the way around, but this month does. So that's what I've been working on, and I'm gonna work. I couldn't decide whether I wanted to do another bunny or finish that border during this video, but that's what I'm working on now. So I think that's all I've been doing. Yeah, besides being sick and feeling sorry for myself.
Is it my turn?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so according to my WIP-GO, I had see, I'm trying to be disciplined now. But it didn't work. Okay, so I was supposed to work on the Breathe and Hope shawl and Jordan's sweater, 6 and 10, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so at the beginning, I didn't have the yarn. So I did, you remember last week I had this shawl out. And during the video, I pulled it all out. So this is all I've gotten done.
Is that the Breathe and Hope shawl?
This is the Breathe and Hope shawl with the botanicals, the naturally dyed botanicals. And last week I put the what dyed which yarn, and I can't remember now.
You said something about pecan shells, I think.
Pecan shells are the brown. Yeah, pecan.
Yes, I was going to joke about that when you were trying to remember what you dyed with.
I couldn't remember.
So I was like, oh, that was right.
Yeah, I can't remember now what the green is dyed from. But it in the video, I posted the labels, or the picture of the labels. Anyway, I got this far. I was at work working on this, and one of my colleagues said, "What are you making?" And I said, "It's going to be a shawl." And she goes, "A shawl for a mouse?" And I was like, "No,
it's a mouse shawl.
Just the beginning corner." She goes, "It's a shawl for a mouse." And I was like, "Go away." Anyway, so that's as far as I got.
A mouse shawl.
And I haven't worked on it much since, because I did order Jordan's yarn and got squishy mail. Look, it's so pretty.
It's so pretty.
It's so pretty.
That was beautiful.
So within a day or two, I did this much ribbing. Here's a picture. And then last night, I actually finished the ribbing. Here's another good photo of it. But so this is the bottom edge ribbing. It looks very small because it's on a small needle. But right now, the next thing I'm going to do is increase to the body number of stitches and change from this needle to a size 5. This is a size 3. And so the size 5 is the body stitch size that you do ribbing on a smaller needle. So I got 3 of these. You can see that it's a very subtle color change. There's blue in there too. So that's going gangbusters. I already finished the bottom rib. I have no idea when it'll be done, but that's it. And then I was listening to my favorite blog of one of my favorite designers, Stacey Perry from Very Pink Knits. And what she does is like reads knitting questions and answers them. And one of the questions was like, I'm afraid to start a sweater. Do you have a good pattern? And so she talked about her pattern that she calls 3 rectangles and 2 triangles is the name of the pattern. And it's a very simple, it's a seamed sweater, which I don't usually want to make a seamed sweater, but I remember seeing this tutorial video a while ago and liking it, and I don't know, I just got a wild hair, so I was like, I'm gonna make that. And so it's a very simple pattern. You make 3 rectangles, so you make 2 front panels and 1 back panel are your rectangles, and then a triangle. It's not really a triangle because it's got a straight edge here instead of a point, but it's the sleeves going from small to large, and so it's a triangle shape. It's really more of a, what would you call it?
Trapezoid?
Trapezoid. Yeah. But we won't be picky about that.
Sure, but geometry.
My iPad won't. Okay. What I do like about it, I mean, one of the things that made me attracted to it was the fact that she talks about the closure. She ordered this pin, and I want to make a sweater just so I can order this pin, which is kind of stupid. But here's the sweater. It's a very simple open cardigan. You can add buttons if you want, but it doesn't have a buttonhole band or buttons. And it's made, the size of the front panels is made to overlap. And I don't know if you can see that pin in the corner. It's a Celtic pin, and I can't remember what it's called. See that pin right there?
Oh, yeah.
It's called, I don't know if she talks about it here. Maybe she talks about it in the last page. In the tutorial video, she talks about it. It's a pin that I guess has been used for centuries. It's a straight pin, and it's attached to a ring so the pin has a little, I guess, a little loop on the end, and the ring turns.
Come here, Rob.
And so you put the pin in, and then you kind of fold the ring over and turn it until there's a little notch in the ring like this. So you hook it over the pin like this, and then you just turn the little ring until the notch moves away from the pin, so it doesn't come apart. I don't know if that. Anyway, and so you fold the sweater over and you pin it closed. Is the way that she intends that pin to be used with this sweater. Blah 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 blah. It's a bulky weight sweater, which is nice because it goes fast. And everything I read about, like all the comments in this, like it knitted up so fast. So what she has you do is swatch a pocket. So she has you make the pocket first, and this becomes your swatch to measure your gauge. And I'm supposed to wash and block it, but I didn't. Because I'm familiar with this yarn. This yarn is the same yarn I made my dad's brown sweater out of. It's Barocco Vintage Chunky. So here's the skein. Why did I choose gray? Okay, so Hannah was going gangbusters on her shawl that she was making. And I showed it to you last week. And she wanted more yarn. She decided, because in the excess yarn I also had red and white. So she decided, since what she was doing was a dark blue, a medium blue, and a white, or creamish white, she was going to do a dark red and get a pink and a white. So her plan is, I think it's crazy, but it's her plan. So the only way you learn is by doing things. And hopefully it'll be great, and she'll love it. But her plan is to do half the yarn in those 3 blue and white colors, and then switch to the red and white, so that in the middle it would switch, and she'd have two ends that would be different colors. I would never choose to do that, but that was her choice, whatever. So she said to me the magic words, "Do you want to go to the yarn shop?" And I said, "Yes, I do." So we went, and I had this sweater in mind. And I had my iPad with me, and the lovely people at Technique Yarn and Fiber, the manager there, I was like, this is the sweater, this is the yarn, and she goes, I have something that would work with it. And she brought me to this, and I was like, oh, this is what I made my dad's sweater out of. So I'm very familiar with the yarn and how it washes and blocks, and I'm not worried about it. So I know that this is the size it's going to be after it washes, because this is, it is made of acrylic wool and nylon. So it's very sturdy and can be easily washed. And because it's got a almost half amount of acrylic, it's not going to grow or shrink. So so I'm not going to wash my block. I mean, wash my I'm not going to block my swatch. But why did I choose gray? So I was attracted to a purple first. It was like a deep purple. That's one of my favorite colors. But I needed, for the size I wanted to make, I needed 10 of these. And the only yarn with 10 hanks of the same dye lot was gray. And I'm like, I like gray. Actually, one of my favorite, come here, Rope. One of my favorite store-bought sweaters is gray, this exact color. And so I thought, I like gray. And then, so I was like, well, I don't want to, I mean, maybe I could have asked if they had more. I don't know. But I was like, I'm just going to do gray.
But the
Because
nice
I'm
thing
impatient.
about gray is that it goes
It goes
with
with
almost
everything.
everything you wear.
And I have a thing for like a gray hoodie or a gray, like I really like that. And I thought this is going to be a comfy sweater. And you know what is magic about this? Hobbs's hair doesn't show up. So I thought this is perfect because I'll be wearing this and he will sit on me and it will not really show his hair. So I'm like, okay, I'm pleased with gray. I'm going to embrace the gray.
I remember I overheard a bit of a conversation with the woman that played English horn in the ASO was talking about how I guess she had never had a problem before, but then at some point she had a cat that was white, and so all of her symphony blacks, her English horn case and everything.
I know. Yeah, my new boss is like, we have a black cat, so we have to wear everything black. I'm like, yeah. So you have to fix your wardrobe according to your cat. So this is my new project that is not on my WIP-GO board. And I just decided to do it on a whim. But you know what? I actually felt less guilt about it because I have a plan for all my WIPs.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I don't care if I'm going to start something new. So that's my new start. And so I've just been working on these 3 things.
That's the thing I haven't done. I meant to mention my WIP-GO thing because I haven't worked on my new starts at all yet.
Yeah.
So
So I'm really proud about how this is looking and how fast it went. But I guess I was doing some sleep knitting because I found some mistakes in my ribs my ribbing last night.
There's mistakes in your ribs.
There's mistakes in my ribs. So, but this is going well. That's going to be fun. So that's what I'm doing, and I decided, the instructions say to make 1 pocket and then start the back, but I decided I want to make sure the 2 pockets are exactly the same and exactly the same size, so I'm going to make the 2nd pocket, so I started casting on here. So that's me.
Okay.
I'm all done. That's all I'm doing.
So I completed my WIP-GO challenge for 10 days on this. I didn't get a lot done on it because I've been working on this pattern right here, and this is how far I've gotten. Now, this pattern looks easy, but God bless Kathy.
It's pretty.
God bless Kathy.
So
it has another
pretty.
row that has to go down here, but it looks like it's 3 things exactly the same in a row. It's not.
Yeah.
So these red stitches, they go all the way down, but they don't. They pause at where this little outside little squares are, and And you got to make sure, you know, it's just like when you're stitching around a border, you got to make sure it meets correctly at the other side. So I've pulled out almost as much as I've put in.
Oh no.
And then the stars, every other one has a lighter color around it. So you got to watch that too. And then the white that's in between, I don't know if you can see, there's white. There's white. The white that's in between is, I'm using DMC satin white. Remember all the challenges I had with the last one, trying to find one that showed up on this fabric. So I just, you know, stuck with what worked before. Well, it is so hard to work with that stuff.
Oh no.
You know, because it's just so slippery. So when you tuck it underneath, it just slides right back out.
Oh no.
You know, like when you're trying to finish off something, or so you have to like tuck it and go back and tuck it somewhere else and stuff to get it to stay. So there was that, and then there was 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, most of Monday, where I did not put in a stitch on anything because I had mentioned last week about not having the proper medicine. Well, because of my asthma, if a germ walks by me, I will catch it. And I didn't have the proper medication, so it just made it worse. So I've spent a week just in bed. And, well, not technically in bed, but, and then I shared it with her.
Yes. Thank you very much.
So I did that, but when I got back to stitching, I did this. I finished the first berry of winter.
First berry of 23.
This is my first finish of 23. Yeah.
Nice.
So since I finished that, I didn't show the pattern face here. I finished this one, not like that. You know, Helen D did white with a light blue, and it's very pretty. I've seen many people who stitch this, but they don't stitch it like it looks, because they look at that and go,
"Where's the stitching?"
I can't see that. So I am using only one color that's called for, and it's because when I was there, I looked at the name and I was like, that sounds interesting. So I went over and found the thread, and I was like, oh yeah, it's pretty. But that's the only one. Other than that, I said, I have read, you know. But for Christmas, Peyton, my son's girlfriend, gave me a gift certificate to the attic.
Nice.
Yay! So
hopefully next weekend we won't be sick and we can make it out there.
I'm gonna wait until there's something I want. So I'm working on this one right here with the cardinal ice skating. And I'm doing it on, this is 32 count Lugana in, it's not Stormy Night. Stormy Night is darker. I don't remember. Stormy something. And it looks kind of white, but it's got like a little bit of blue going through it.
The modeling.
Yeah, I thought white would show up on that because it seems darker, right? No, I don't think it's going to. So I thought what I'd do is get some etoile, because even if it doesn't show up, it'll sparkle a little bit. And I think that'll look pretty as snowflakes anyway. So that's what I'm going to use, because on this one, I'll talk more about this in a minute. The white barely shows up, but when you're close to it, you can see it. So
Oh,
that's my tiny little start, the top of a cardinal's head. I had cut fabric for this, and I don't know, I was on drugs or something when I was cutting it, because
Crooked.
no, it wasn't crooked, because you know the stitching. It's just like I have a plastic thing that I measure, you know, where that berry cutout is going to go, and for some reason I said I twisted it like that, you know, like you can certain things, you know. Oh, it'll fit like this. Yeah, but I can't stitch it like that. That's diagonal. So, anyway, that's my tiny little start. And then I was already feeling sick, but Beth had appointments she had to go to, like she talked about.
Oh, let me see your hand.
Oh,
Took your stitches off. Oh, wow.
And so
my Harry Potter scar.
So, sorry, this thing's falling apart. It's shredding. I'm cutting off threads. So, I was sitting out there another 2 hours, another 2-hour appointment with Beth. That one, they weren't actively working on a tooth or something.
Yeah.
She just was sitting, waiting. Yeah, so
Nice.
I got a lot further on my deer for winter reindeer. Just needs legs now.
Cute. That's so pretty.
I love this pattern. It's adorable. So I forgot to show this. This is Winter Reindeer by Dirty Annie's, and I'm doing it on Fabric Flare blue, just like the Winterberry, and I just love this fabric. I know that it's on one side only, you know. I don't mind that. I'm only looking at this side, right? So when I realized that I had cut this Winterberry fabric wrong, I knew I had this, but first I grabbed a 16 count Ada that I got at Hobby Lobby. And I had purchased what I thought was the same thing before. Did I say 16 count?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Went for working on the Holly Jolly Berries.
Mm.
And it looks very similar to the Stormy Night, or Stormy whatever that is. And it looks like what I bought before. This stuff is stiff as a board, and it is only on one side. Now, I don't mind the fact that it's only on one side, but I was like, I don't like this fabric. And maybe if it was something not so fiddly or something like that, I don't know if it's painted on one side, if I can wash it to get it softer, wet it. I don't know, but I'll show it to you later. But I'm on.
You still have the packaging that it came in, because it should say on there whether it's color fast or not.
Yeah. I was like, I really don't like this. It's really, 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 really stiff.
That's like that Ada that wolf pattern is on. It's really thick. It's not just stiff, but it's thick like you know, like you're stitching on I don't know,
paper,
a blanket or something. Because usually, you know,
When
the
you did
Ada
that
that you
stitching
use,
on those for Eli, you did a little ornament or something on wood.
yeah, that I couldn't do ultimately. But yeah, because like regular Ada fabric, you know, it's stiff, but it's you know, just normal.
Up.
But this stuff is like it's almost impossible. When I was using it for a while, I was doing it in hand because it was so stiff I couldn't even put it in the hoop.
Yeah. So this fabric, to me, it's, you know, it seems like, you know, if you ever had a t-shirt or something and you brushed up against house paint that one spot is very stiff.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they took the regular stiff Ada and painted on it, and so it's got that stiffness.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I don't mind the fact that one side doesn't have the color. I don't care. It's the other side that I'm interested in, right?
Right.
But I was like, I really hate this fabric. I might have to return it because I'm like, am I Hobby Lobby?
Mm.
And a lot of their, you know, I love all of these new fabrics that they've been getting in. They're nice colors and good patterns and stuff. Mm-mm. No. You know, if I'm not going to ever use it, what good does it do, right? So there's that. And then the first full week of my temperature,
Your temperature chart?
my temperature chart, and we had a warmish week, so they're in the greens. And I waited a whole week from last Friday to this Friday.
Uh-huh.
I waited a whole week and I was like, no. I liked it better just doing it one at a time. The thing is with the border, I did 15 stitches on the border. And, you know, I got to make that border go all the way around and around here. And if I don't keep on that border,
We'll get behind.
I'll get behind and you know, I'll never finish this.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So do you do a temperature chevron and then work on the border?
well, I did the border first, and then I did all the chevrons I had left. But I wanted to keep up with what I'd done, so
yeah,
you know, so I may you know, periodically just go in and add stuff and not wait a whole week, because the chevrons themselves, you know,
once you
few
get
minutes.
across, it'll be better, because if you want to keep up, you just have to do the ends once at the end of each row. You know what I mean? So getting across the top will be the hardest. But then, like, once you do that, then as you do a row, you can just go down.
And you know, it has to be done because it comes in on the sides to accommodate
the month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
but I'm just saying, like, as you go down the rows, you'll only have those ends.
Until I get down here.
Right.
And then I have all of these flowers.
Yeah.
But I figure all of this stuff, that doesn't have to be done at the same time as this. Mm-hmm. So, because this is the only year I plan to do any kind of temperature or anything.
That's so fun.
So, yeah.
Let me see the stitching. No, I want to see that. So.
And I like the fabric it's on. I think it's going to look nice on that fabric.
That is so cool.
Is that the one you dyed with your hands?
That is so
I dyed it by, I think it was already off-white. And I dyed it by touching the dye with gloved hands and then grabbing the fabric. So it's got this modeling on it that is kind of interesting. Anyway, that was that. And lastly, this is how far I am on my gnome. Now, it isn't that I haven't been working on it. Made a little arm.
Put the nose on.
I put the nose on. I remade the nose, put the nose on. Made an arm. It's too short. I want it to go down to like at least the end of the beard.
Yeah.
You know? And so that's a good inch.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, So I started another one. I don't know what I did wrong. I couldn't figure it out. And I said, okay, not right now. Because as I mentioned before, I was sick and it was hard for me to concentrate on anything for any length of time. And I almost said I should just pick up where I left off and just, so I need to make 2 more arms. I need to make them, you know, I'm just going to make it, just keep measuring and just keep measuring. And, you know, I told myself, well, just pick up here and, you know, like adding, like you do, you know, and just make it longer. I thought about doing that, and I still could, but I don't know. It didn't take that long to make. And I have enough yarn, so why not make new ones? So that's me.
That's you? Well, what's happened this week?
I broke my glasses.
Yeah.
Technically, I didn't break them. They just came apart. I was walking across.
At least you're not like those nerds with the tape between your eyes.
I'm considering taping this. I was walking across the room and I heard a pop, and the solder point on this side
just came on.
And so it was like a little prong that goes into this back part here, and you know, I can't see it to fix it, so I asked Beth to fix it. This is how she fixed it. It's not her fault.
It's better than
because it's on. And I went in and I was using a different pair of glasses, but the lens is smaller. I had asked for a larger one when I got these, because when the lens is smaller, the bifocal is, you know, teeny tiny. And I was trying to use those, and I was like, I kept seeing the blur line in between. It's like, this is not working for me. So, yeah, broke my glasses. I don't know if I'm going to go get another pair or not. And then, what else happened?
Oh, you don't know if you're getting a new one?
Well,
My glasses are very, very expensive.
Yeah.
They're like $800, $900. So
they're trying to see it. We're trying.
If somebody will take the lenses out of this and put it in a new frame, and they all say, "Oh no, I can't do that," because they want you to buy a whole new pair.
Right.
So I don't know.
We just all got glasses at my house. Mine still hurt my head. Oh, speaking of eyes, so New Year's Eve, all of a sudden Hannah notices that my eye's all bloody and everything. And on close inspection, there was like a weird little bump on the white of my eye here. I wasn't worried about the blood. It's just this weird spot. And so it was New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, and it was kind of achy and it hurt. And I'm like, oh no, what's wrong? And then I put it off because of the new job, and I wasn't, sure when I could go. And finally, I made an appointment for Thursday with the eye doctor I should go to. And then on Wednesday, I wanted Mark to take another picture of that. So after the blood cleared up, you could still see a bump on the white of my eye. And I wanted Mark to take a picture of it, and he goes, I don't see it. He's looking, he's zooming in with my camera, and he took pictures, and I'm like, I don't see it. And I'm looking in the mirror, I'm like, I don't see it. So I actually called and canceled the appointment. And all day yesterday, my eye felt fine and everything. Well, I get up this morning, I'm driving here, actually. I'm sitting in the parking lot at McDonald's, and I look in the mirror because it feels kind of like there's something in there. And there's that stupid bump again. So I should have gone. But I literally could not see it, and I did not want to go all the way.
I had this thing, and now it's gone.
I had this thing, and now it's gone, and is it there? And no, it's not there. So what are you doing here? I don't know. Okay, bye. That's what I figured was going to happen. But now I'm like, dang it, it's back. So I don't know. It's not bleeding anymore, but I assume that's where it bled from, I think. I don't know. It was weird. So I got home weird thing on my eye. Oh, I never told some stories from New Year's Eve that I meant to tell last week. I wore my shawl to the symphony, my symphony shawl. So here's a picture of me in the lobby. I had to take it myself. So there's one person who does our marketing, and she does all of our Instagram photos and everything. She's fantastic. And she wasn't around. I said, at intermission, I want you to take a picture of me in my shawl. She says, okay. But when I went out to intermission, she was, doing her job. So I couldn't find her anywhere. So my boss took a picture of me. It was not a good picture. So I propped the phone up on a table and took pictures of myself. So they're still not good pictures, but I think they're a little better than the ones my boss took. So anyway, here's a picture of me in the lobby on New Year's Eve with my shawl. So that was me, and it went, and it was fun. And when we were there at intermission, we're still open, like the box office is open through intermission, and it was the middle of intermission, and we were kind of shutting down, cleaning up and everything. But these two guys come up, and they're so drunk, they're like, he can't keep his eyes open. And he's like, do you still have student rush tickets? And we're like, and I'm like, she turned off her mic. She goes, is he drunk? And I'm like, yeah. So she goes, oh, I'm sorry. She told a little white lie, because she's like, no, I'm sorry, we don't have student rush anymore, which is not true. But and tickets are like, she's kind of quoting the upper end of the price, and because it was like intermission, like also you don't want to buy a full price ticket to go here, the last hour or whatever.
To sleep through
and we didn't really. He was like, we're like an airplane. We don't want you drunk in there, so drunk. Look at Rogue. He's trying. So we did not want. Then they finally were like, because he was kind of like, kind of slurring his own, like, you don't want to come in there. Go on. But it was a nice concert. But so then the next weekend, Tales from the Box Office. The next weekend, an usher comes up. Well, okay. Sorry, I went out at the very beginning of the concert, so we're working until the concert starts, and then it kind of, we do have latecomers, but then it kind of slows down. So the concert has started, and I went out to get some hot chocolate because I was freezing in there. And I went to get hot chocolate, and as I'm walking by, I hear a man, and he seems pretty on edge, and he's talking to an usher, and I hear her say, no sir, we wouldn't have allowed anyone up in the balcony right now. I don't know what she meant, because if there was a latecomer who had a balcony seat, of course we would have done that. But so I didn't understand what that conversation was about, but whatever. Not my monkeys, right? Not my circus, not my monkeys. So I go and I get my hot chocolate and I walk back. And a few minutes later, I'm in the box office, and that same usher woman comes and says, can you tell on a ticket if it's been scanned or not? And I said, absolutely. She goes, this one has been scanned. It's the husband's ticket, but he has lost his wife.
Oh.
She has dementia, and we don't know where she is. And I was like, oh my God. So I look it up. His was scanned, hers was not, which means, I guess she had her ticket with her, according to the husband. But that means she did not enter the building, because the ushers would have stopped anyone coming into the building and said, do you have a ticket? And would have scanned her ticket. So there she goes, well, that gives us information. So that means, because I guess they got separated in the garage. We have a garage that's directly below Symphony Hall. And somehow they got separated in the garage. I don't know.
So
With the crowd, maybe.
Yeah. I don't know if he sent her up to go to the lobby while he parked, because maybe he couldn't park close to the door, because there's the parking garage, and then there's a door that goes into the convention center. Then you take the elevator up, and that elevator, if you go to the correct level, takes you right into the lobby of Symphony Hall. So he probably figured she could do that. Maybe in the past she could. And they both had cell phones, so they both were, he said, I heard him say later, she knows that I have this with me. So I don't know exactly how they got separated. Maybe he dropped her at that door and said, wait for me, or go up to the lobby and I'll meet you in the lobby, or whatever, and went to park the car. That's the only thing I can think. I didn't ask. I didn't find out. But, so she's like, we don't know if she's on the street or in the garage in the convention center somewhere. But I think this means she's not in Symphony Hall. So we were like, we were all of us were feeling like, I feel like we should go look for her, but we won't do any good, you know?
Yeah.
And I said, so actually I went out to listen to a little bit from the lobby, listen to a little bit of the concert, and I saw them talking to the husband there, and they were like, don't wander off, we don't want to lose both of you, to the husband. And I said, can you tell me what she's wearing? Because that way we'll be aware if she comes to the box office windows, if she, you know, because maybe she'll think I'm supposed to be at the symphony and come to the box office window to ask who knows what. And so he told me what she was wearing and everything. And while I was there talking to him, one of the head usher guys, you know, that were in charge of this, were like, came up to tell him, somebody upstairs in the convention center, which is kind of attached, was talking to someone who kind of fits her description. So we're sweeping, the security is sweeping the convention center now. And I was just like, oh my gosh. So then I just go back, you know, because the thing I can do. So I go into the box office to share her description with my colleagues, and a little while later, that same usher came back. She goes, I wanted to let you know we found her.
Oh,
I guess what had happened was she got in that elevator that takes you up to Symphony Hall, but only came up one level.
Oh, yeah.
And walked out, and there was a coffee shop there, and I guess she just sat down in the chairs at the coffee shop, and they found her there. Thank God. But I was just like, oh I know, it was awful. You know, and the thing is like, dementia is so awful because one day you know a skill and the next day you don't, and as a family you don't know when that day is. You know, she was able, I guess, to be separated from him for, you know, and then on that particular night she was not. And it, you know, I don't blame him, you know, because it's probably that maybe every other concert so far this season that's what they've done, and just this particular day.
I'm proud of him for still taking her to concerts and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times when it starts to get difficult, people who are ill, whether it be mentally or otherwise, their world just starts to go like this. And if concerts and things like that were something that they enjoyed before, my mother could not hear.
She still wanted to go to concerts.
And she still went to concerts.
Yeah.
You know, and she couldn't hear anything that was going on, but she enjoyed herself going.
Yeah, she said, I like watching them, you know. And
after she got the implant, then she could hear.
Yeah.
And then she could really enjoy it. But, you know, it was very, very difficult for her to get into the seats and all that, you know. We had to make sure that she didn't have to stand too long or walk too far, you know, things like that. But she wanted to go.
Yeah.
And I remember Mary Lou with my grandmother made every effort to not narrow down her life. You know. So I'm proud of him for not saying, "Oh, I just can't take her anymore anywhere." You know,
who knows what he feels right now?
Well, yeah,
but so that was a really scary moment at the box office.
You know, what was I gonna say?
I don't know.
Oh, my new pulmonologist is downtown. Well, not completely downtown, but downtown-ish. And all of the, you know, like DoorDash or things like that, I live in Phoenix, so they think that Phoenix is close.
Yeah.
So my new pulmonologist
Her address
is
in
far.
Phoenix, is what she's saying.
Yeah.
She's in a weird suburb. Anyway.
Yeah. So I have to go around the mountain to get into Phoenix. Okay. I live in Phoenix. I mean, with the name Phoenix, but it's not Phoenix. And so, I have an appointment with my new pulmonologist in February, and they called. It's a 2-part appointment, and they said, well, we could do the lung function test at the same time, but the doctor is going to be at the hospital doing stuff and won't be there for your appointment afterward to talk to her. And we wanted to just make that later. And I said, okay, what time later? And she said, well, we were thinking 3 or 3:30. Now, the other test is at 10. And I said,
You come have lunch with me.
I was like, no. I said, I live very far away. I said, that's a long time to wait. It's like, what, 4 hours?
Yeah.
And what am I going to do? Sit in the lobby? I mean, it's a big facility. I could walk over to the hospital, and I'm sure they have a
Starbucks or someplace like that.
It's that banner on Thomas.
You could come have lunch with me. It's not that far from me. I'm just saying.
Anyway, we decided to make the doctor's visit a televisit.
Oh.
Because I was like, no.
Just come hang out. It's downtown.
I don't enjoy hanging out downtown.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of, so it could be a little touch and go. There's a parking garage. Okay. City of Phoenix. Hello.
Excuse me.
The Super Bowl's coming, right?
Yeah.
Super Bowl's coming here. Well, so there's a lot of stuff going on downtown where we work. Even though the Super Bowl is on the other side of the world in Glendale, right?
But they don't want to advertise that it's in Glendale because they don't like Glendale.
No, whatever, I don't know. But that's where the ballpark is, right? So, but because it's the City of Phoenix, yeah, exactly. They're having a ton of stuff happening, I guess, in Convention Center and Phoenix in City Hall. That's why we can't be there that weekend and all this stuff. So the whole week, prior-ish, I don't know. They're like, oh, by the way, we might take your parking garage away, even though we have a lease to park there as employees. And they're like, we're probably going to use it. We're not going to let you park there. And then they said, well, we are going to let you park there, but it's going to be really full. So they're charging like $40 a head, they said. So anyway, they're like, even though you have passes and everything, we'll accommodate you, but it's going to be really full. So I'm like,
well,
and we don't even know if you're going to be able to get into the garage because we're going to close all the roads and close the sidewalks. And
they're trying to discourage you from
using
the garage.
Yeah, we just found this out like the other day. So that's in February, and so I'm like, oh great. But anyway, so I guess because of this, now I think about it, they're doing all this stuff because of the Super Bowl. Well, this particular parking garage had some like businesses in the bottom of it, but a lot of them are gone. And so there was like a restaurant and stuff, and they've been gone for ages. So I guess they don't want anyone to see that there's just empty businesses there. So they put up this giant plywood wall all along one side of the garage.
Because that's more attractive.
Well, no, and it goes like this. And so what it used to do is the wall came along and then it angled like this. And there was an angle and there was a pillar, and then there was a short wall and the door to the stairwell, and then the elevator, and then you come around the corner and it's the other street. And that pillar was the pillar behind which I saw somebody shooting up that one time. Remember I talked about that? So it's never been a great corner, okay? But now they brought the plywood wall all the way across, and I thought they were going to cut it back at the pillar. No, they came all the way up to, like, in line with the door to the stairwell. So the stairwell's here and the elevator's here, and then there's a wall. So they have basically made a closet for the entrance to that entrance of the parking garage. And they did a beautiful mural on that wall. And I saw the ladies painting it the whole time. It says "Welcome to Arizona," and there's a Gila monster, and there's like all the wildlife and, you know, saguaro cactuses, all different kinds of cactus, like desert landscape, and there's like a little javelina, so cute, and there's owls, and it's beautiful. The mural is beautiful, but what it has done to me is made a very dangerous little place where I worry. Now during the day is the only time I go to that, because when I work a concert, I park on the other side of the garage near the other elevator, which is more open and exposed, and there's always somebody standing in the corner there. There's always cops. There's always, you know, and that's more lively on that corner. So I park over there when I'm gonna be coming out at night. But when you never know. At 8 o'clock in the morning, you're gonna open that thing, or when I come,
somebody shooting up,
or worse. And I come in to that corner after work at 5. Mostly Eli's with me, so that's okay. But, you know, it's kind of, I don't feel like it's safe.
Yeah.
And it always smells like urine because it's a perfect bathroom. It's hidden away, you know? And I'm like, good job, City of Phoenix. Anyway, well, you go ahead and take that while all the people in town and see how many people like that tiny little corner they're going to be jammed in.
What I heard the last Super Bowl that was here, that Glendale made the NFL mad. Something that they were doing, and they told them, do not mention Glendale at all. And when you're broadcasting nothing, say Phoenix. And that's why all the partying and everything was done in downtown Phoenix. Glendale is right there at, you know, everything around the stadium where the Super Bowl is. There is beautiful shops and restaurants, and it's a lively place, very popular, and they could be making money hand over fist. But, you know, the NFL owns a day of the week. Why would you make them mad? But Glendale is not known for making smart money decisions.
Yeah. I don't know, but
I don't know if that's still going on.
Me. Yeah. So I think I'm gonna ride. I told you I think we're gonna ride the bus. Now he works half days, so he's gonna have to Uber in the middle of the day during that week into
the Ubers will cost more money.
I know. We'll help him, but then on the way home, I think we're gonna ride the bus. I hope the buses can still get through all that, but I'm sure they do because the City of Phoenix still has to keep functioning.
Yeah,
to some degree. But that's going to be crazy. So I'm not looking forward to that. But I was going to tell you. You guys were talking about taking down. They took down their tree. See, there's no tree. And we won't show the needles that are on the floor back there.
Oh yeah, you have to tell them about my secret.
I'm sorry. Everybody knows.
It was all I could do to get the ornaments out because that tree had to be. The tree had to be out and over to the recycling by last Sunday. Had to be, and the HOA says all the lights have to be taken out of the yard by the same day. Yeah. And I was like,
come here,
I could barely walk across the room, and I'm like doing 1 or 2 ornaments and then sitting down.
Yeah. Well, so I lucked out because I was at a show and the kids, Hannah was here still, and so Hannah and Eli and Mark were going to take the tree down. Come here, Rogue. And so I'm sitting there at the box office and I'm getting messages from Hannah. Dad wants to know about this. Dad wants to know about that. You know, what about, because it doesn't look like all the ornaments are going to fit back in there. And I was like, so we have cat ornaments because when we got the kittens last year, we didn't know how they were going to be with ornaments. And so I just bought like a big set of plastic kind of glittery ornaments from CVS or something so that if they climbed the tree, it wouldn't hurt anything. And that's all we had last year. So then this year we put those mostly at the bottom, and then some, I think I talked about this, some good ones, and then the really beautiful glass ones we put in a basket to display them, but we didn't hang them. And so she's like, they're not all going to fit. And I said, take everything out, just focus on the glass ones and put those, because we have those ornament boxes with the little separators. I said, just put those in there, and all the cat ornaments can go in another box, in another whatever. And so they said, okay. So then I get a message that says, Dad wants to know if you want us to just leave it for you to do so that you can put it away in a particular way. And I know he's probably like worried I'm gonna be like, this wasn't right. And I was like, nope. Just put the glass, the Dad knows he knows which ones are the really nice. Put all the good ones in first, put everything else in later, and put the cat ones in a different box. No.
Use your own judgment. I
absolve you.
Yeah, my boss used to say, like, you're empowered to make these decisions. So you wouldn't have to go.
I mean,
get a manager every time somebody has to complain.
But to in their defense, they've lived with me a long time. And they know that I'm.
It's like packing.
Why did you do it like
it's
this?
like packing suitcases.
Yeah. Why did you do it like this? You shouldn't have done it this way. But I have refrained from saying anything. And I haven't even looked in those ornament boxes, so I'm just trusting that next year, whatever will be.
Well,
as long as I didn't break anything, and they didn't, so I'm like, that's fine.
Most of my Christmas decor, nobody else puts out, nobody else picks up. Beth has some things that she takes out. Robert puts up the tree, puts the lights on it, and does anything out of reach. But everything else,
Robert,
pretty much.
Tall, come do this.
And I would be angry about that if it was something that anybody else could do. Okay, if should do, well, not could, because definitely they could. But I have about 3 million breakable snowmen. And so I know how they're rolled up and packaged, and I know how I want them put away.
Yeah, that's like if I didn't take out my Santa collection this year.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't. Because the jury was still out on whether or not I even wanted to. And so if I had, I would not have said, pack up my Santas for me. I wouldn't have done that.
Yeah. And I've been last year and then again this year trying to winnow down, we've had 3 households worth of Christmas stuff, and and they're in 5 million different boxes from when each of us have stored things, and then every year you get more stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like I gotta get rid of stuff. I mean, because then I make so.
And people do things, and yeah.
And so I've been sick, so I haven't been able to spend a whole lot of time. I didn't even start trying until yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then last night I just went, I can't do this. And it's not that I don't want to,
Yeah.
It's like all I'm thinking about, well, not all I'm thinking about, but it weighs heavily on my mind that it's still out, because the longer a glass ornament is out,
the greater chance it's going to break.
The greater chance that, yeah. And especially the way I have them out when I'm putting them away, like before you came, this whole table was covered with snowmen.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and every time somebody sees a snowman on a mug or a snowman, on, so I get more snowmen. So, I don't mind. But, so it's just like when we buy you Santa Clauses, right? So.
And now gnomes.
And gnomes. So now I'm like, I wish somebody could help me, but I don't want them to do it.
Right.
Because
you need elves,
yeah, I want it put away in a certain way.
Yeah.
All the stuff like the ornaments from our trees, and I know which ones. I don't care if they're put in an ornament box. They can be put, over here, and I have things decorations from around the house, stuff that Robert made when he was little and stuff like that. I know how I want that put away.
Right.
So, yeah.
So we can't be particular and need help. That's the moral of the story.
Well, Beth could get well and then sweep up the
That's true.
the tree needles.
No, I'm talking about being particular.
No,
about things.
yeah, it's like you wish it wasn't just all on you, but then you want control over that,
Right.
and
There's
so
there's a price for that.
yeah. So plus it's my stuff. So
Hey, look what happens when you actually pay attention to your. So I was gonna. Oh no! Look, I did it wrong.
Scratch that.
Oh my gosh. So this is what happened to me. So I made this pocket perfectly, and then the other night I started the second one, and I got about 4 or 5 rows in, and I'm like, because what you're supposed to do is do a ribbing on the front side, and on the back you just purl across, so it makes this sort of, I don't know what it is, a broken rib or something. It's kind of cool little waffle design. And I'm like, no, this is wrong. And that's what happened to me, like 2 separate spots in there, because I think I was just knitting across. I think that's what I did. Ugh.
oh, you never told us why it took you so long to get here last time.
Yes. Oh, last time, because it was the evening, and often in the evenings, we've talked about it. I think between our houses there is a train track, and it's like in an industrial area. There's like these big Smurfit Kappa, I think is the big one. It's like a lumber, I think, something. Anyway, so there's always trains stopping, and there's 2 roads a mile apart. So either road that I picked to come would have been the same. Well, I don't know, but it's a dice game. But it happens more often, I think,
on Chandler. It blocks it most on Chandler.
And so what they do is they put the railroad arms down. And it's not like you put the railroad arms down and the train goes, woo, right? And you wait for a while and the train goes.
Mm-mm.
No. They put the arms down and they pull the train this way, and they pull it back that way, and they pull it back this way, and they pull it back that way, and it sits there for a while. And then they pull it back this way.
And it was very
and it sits there for a while.
slowly.
Yeah.
Like you, it's like
and
you
then they
can
pull
walk.
it back that way, and it sits there for a while. And they pull it back in. So that took 10, 15 minutes, which it doesn't sound like that's not, but it's horrible when you're in a car and you're sitting there and like, ugh. So then, after that, I went to our favorite McDonald's and went to the drive-thru, and it took forever. I don't even know why. I don't know. Even today, it took forever. So by the time, it's like, and there was one other thing.
That McDonald's by our house?
Mhm.
Yeah,
It's awful.
They always take forever.
If I get in the parking lot and there's a line,
Well, remember that one time we decided to go in because there was a line in the drive-thru. We decided to go in, and it was worse.
Yeah,
it was worse inside.
They're terrible.
It was awful. So yeah, it just took forever, and I was like, I'm literally going 10 minutes away.
Because
and I can't make it.
we very often go to the other McDonald's that's close to the church. We go there for random reasons, whatever. If we're in that neighborhood, and it's so fast, and the people that work there are so nice. They're like, oh,
smart.
There's this one guy that practically sits on the edge of the counter where you're either paying or picking up, and he's like, "Hi, how are you?" And he's wonderful, and I'm like,
at the other McDonald's are like.
The one near my house, there's a kid who works there, and I say kid because he literally he could be 12. I don't know. I always want to say, how old are you? They're too young to be working. Do they know they're doing child labor? But he's very smart. But very smart and very courteous. But
that's
today,
like the 10-year-old that came to take mom's
police report.
report.
I know. So today at McDonald's, I used the gift card that we were given by a viewer. Now we refill it, and that way we can share the cost, and it's very great. And I always think about you, because I'm always the one that has to get the treat. Anyway, so I was using the gift card, and I like to get a receipt because I could see how much is left on there. And when I drove up, I had the receipt from the last time, and it said that was like $8. So I'm like, okay. And so I go, and the guy's like, and he's wearing, it's not that cold in Phoenix. I'm always cold, but it's really not that cold. And he is in a full jacket with gloves and a hat. Oh, and I'm like, maybe standing by the window I could see all day. But anyway, he takes my payment, and he's like, okay, it's $4, whatever. And I'm like, okay. And he gives it back to me. I said, can I have a receipt? And what I heard him say was, okay, let me get it for you. And the window shut, and he's standing there, and he's bent over, and he's doing I don't know what. And I'm sitting there waiting for my receipt. And then, okay, this is what happens. He stands up, the window opens, and he goes, he puts his arms down like that. And he looks at me like, what are you still doing here? And I said, I would like a receipt. And he goes, they can get it for you down there. And I was like, I didn't hear you say that. Okay. You know, of course, I forgot by the time, you know, because I drove 2 feet. I can't remember anything. And I forgot to ask for one. So I have to do mental math. But anyway, but he just like he couldn't even speak to me. Like, like, can I help you? Or is there something else? Or what are you doing here? What's your problem, stupid woman? He just like, I guess his face said it all. But anyway, I was just, I'm like, I hate this McDonald's. Every interaction at that McDonald's has what is it? Is it like an attraction?
There's
like
been,
they attract certain people to
and
certain
I know
ones?
that they've had staffing issues, but there's been times when I've pulled up to the speaker and I've sat there and sat there at so long, you know, and you go, is there anybody there? And usually if you say that, they'll say, sorry, we'll be with you in a second or something, right? No, crickets. And finally I just left. I'm like, are they open? You know?
Well, and I know it's just it's because number one, it's a McDonald's. I mean, it's just it's the city, and also it's so close to the mountains. But I never forget one night I was there at night, and I pulled up, and I see a little mouse running around and went under the stand where the microphone thing is, because you know the rocks get moved or whatever, and it went under there, and I was like, okay, well, I could tell you what was under the things at the one in the South Valley.
I was gonna say that one time I went.
I mean, it happens. And that's why they have all those big traps and everything.
Yeah. I've told Eve about this several times, but one time that there was when I lived in Little Rock, I lived downtown, and so the nice thing about it was that, like, you know, a few blocks away was Broadway, and there was like all kinds of fast food joints and stuff like that. But because of my lifestyle, because of choir practice or rehearsals and things like that, a lot of times I hit that area and everything was closed or whatever. But so there were two incidents. One was there was a Wendy's, and I was going through there, and I just wanted a soda, and so the car in front of me kind of took a while at the microphone, but then they moved on, and I just talked to them and ordered my soda, and then as I pulled around the corner, and this car in front of me was just sitting at the window, and I could tell the poor girl who was talking to them was kind of like trying to get through to them or whatever, and then finally it seemed like they were there for a long time. I thought she gave them their order right away, but then this conversation was going on, and then finally they left, and I could tell from the way she was talking to them that they were drunk,
No.
and so she was just trying to get them out of there, and they wouldn't leave, I guess, and so when I pulled up, she was kind of saying apologizing, because I'm sorry, they were drunk, and I this, and so I was like yeah, And she goes, what was your order? You know, and I just repeated. I said, I just wanted a Diet Coke, and she goes, oh, okay, I'm here. I'm sorry. And she just gave it to me, didn't charge me for it at all. You know?
So,
But
Oh, I went to a CVS drive up one time, and there was a car there forever, and I didn't notice, I didn't see anything happen, but when I pulled up, they were frantically like this, and I'm like, what is going on? And then she goes, threw up on the thing.
oh,
Like, oh, gross.
when I worked for McDonald's and over there on Coors and Highway 51,
Yeah.
There was a guy that you know, you have to periodically go out and check the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
And walking around the parking lot, I came across a guy that was hanging out the driver door of the car.
Ew.
There was vomit on the ground. He looked like he was maybe 17, 16.
No.
But he was completely out.
Oh, jeez.
Just
Did you
hanging
have to
there.
call cops or something?
Yeah. So I told the manager, and the manager called the police. And the police went over there, were watching out the window. And it was a teenager, and he had been drinking, and
Driving, obviously.
And the cop made him clean it all up.
Ooh, that'll cure you. It wasn't mine, but that cured me. I had a friend who got sick all over herself in high school, and I never touched beer ever because of that.
There was a time when also late at night I used to go to Sonic a lot of times because they were open late, you know, and I think this was a Wednesday night, so it wasn't that late because I was coming like from choir practice or something, but I went through the drive-through at Sonic, and I went up to the speaker thing, and nobody answered, you know. So I waited several minutes, and nobody acknowledged me or anything. You know, like hello, you know, because they were obviously open. There were cars, you know, in the little canopy things, you know, and all this, and all their lights were on and everything. And while I was sitting there, I saw like one worker, like wheeling garbage out to the dumpster, you know, and I looked at him like, you know, are you guys open still, you know? And behind me, there were a couple of cars too that, you know, stacked up behind me. And after a while, they just left. And, you know, so I pulled forward to the window, and I looked in, and you could see the workers in there, and they were just like standing against the counter, blah, blah, blahing, you know, and laughing and joking and all this stuff, and just totally, you know, ignoring the fact that the place is open. And I'm like, argh. But,
did they ever acknowledge you?
No, I just left because it was like not even worth it. But when you were talking about throwing up, the person throwing up, one time there was a Target I used to go to all the time, and they had a Starbucks inside, right?
Oh, you told me this
Yeah.
story?
And so I was standing in line behind this other.
This is a gross story. Just
Yes.
if you want to be not grossed out,
You
move
can
past
go
forward.
forward, yeah. But so ahead of me in line, there was a man and his two teenage, I don't know, sons, or I don't know if they were whatever, but they were all getting, you know, placing their order or whatever. So I was standing in line behind them, and so they were doing whatever, talking about whatever they were ordering or whatever, and I'm sitting there, and like there's a little seating area, you know, a few tables there, and there was a woman sitting at the table. And there was one of those little, you know, wet floor signs, you know, they put when they, you know, mop the floor or whatever, so you don't slip on it. So that was there. And so I'm standing in line, and while I'm standing there, this woman at the table just leans over and bleh, all over the floor, like she was out, you know, in the park or something. She just
Didn't even try to run anywhere.
No. She you know, she just leaned over and threw up on the floor, and
Gross.
and and I guess the workers at Starbucks, they called or something, and because you could hear over the PA, something about
She did it again.
to go, for somebody to report, and the guy that came, like with the little, I don't know, the little sawdust junk that they use or whatever to clean up the thing, you could tell that he had already been there before because he was all exasperated, and she's just sitting there, and so finally, because like if she had been aware enough that she was gonna be sick or whatever, just a few steps away on the other side of the door, of the entry door, was the bathrooms,
Or
and right there by the thing there was a trash can. She could have,
She must. What do you think, she was drunk?
Oh
or?
yeah.
Yeah, they should have called the police to come get her.
But so
Come here,
and at one point, a lady that was, I don't know if she was a worker there at Target or whatever, because I think she was wearing a red shirt, like they wear.
Hi, Penny.
And came up and he was talking to her. Because I'm like, is she in here by herself? I think, like, is she waiting for somebody? Whatever.
Okay.
But
okay.
this lady was talking to her. So I think they were trying to, get her out of there, get her a ride or something. I don't know what.
Oh my gosh.
But I was like, and the people in front of me were like oblivious to what had happened. Like, and I'm like, do you not know, that I stayed in line because I wanted to know what it was, but I was like, oh, I'm not gonna look at that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's gross. Okay, now for a totally change of subject. So this morning, I have this, which she made fun of me for. I have this pill container. Okay, so I take this medicine, and I haven't done it in a while, but if you tell this little app that you take it every day and you answer these questions and answer a survey and read a daily tip, you get these little points. And if you build up enough points, you can order stuff. And I got sick of it, so I haven't done it in a while. And they keep saying, you should come back. It's just to encourage you to manage your disease and, and take this med and give them information that they probably shouldn't have. But anyway, so I had been doing it for a while, and Mark would always make fun of me, like, oh, these stupid things. But I got some kind of cool stuff. I got a foot massager. You plug it in, and it has heat, and it kind of it rolls like this, and you put your feet on it. And I got a little thermometer and a head like a infrared thermometer, and I got there's been a couple of other things I can't think right now, but one of the things I got was a month pill organizer, and it's a month plus one. It's 31. It's 32 little boxes, and and they sit on end like this, so it's 1 through 4, 5 through 8, like that. And so you can fill your whole pills for a whole month at a time. And I was like, this is great, because do I ever sit down on a Saturday night and fill my pills like I should? And then I'm halfway through the week. And so I thought, well, if I can do this once a month, which I can't always, but anyway, I like it. And it's really good for me, because then I can just grab today's pill box and go to work, because I'm always running late. And with my pill schedule, I can't always take it at home, so I take it with me so that when I eat breakfast at work or whatever, I can take my pills. Anyway, blah blah blah. So so this morning, what is today? The 15th? 14th? It's the 14th.
14th, yeah.
14th.
So this tells you I don't always fill it by the month either, right? Because of the last 13 days, I've been just taking my pills or filling the box that morning and taking it with me. Stupid, right? So I'm like, okay, I have a few minutes today. I'm going to sit down and fill for the rest of the month. So I sat down and I was doing that. And does this happen to you? I dumped out I just went for some pills that were twice a day. And I went to fill it. And actually, there had been some nights when I didn't take my pills. So there were some boxes that didn't have them. And I go and I fill, and I had the exact amount of pills in my hand. And you're like, whoa, that's weird. And then it happened again with another pill. So Mark gets up. It was this morning. He gets up out of bed. And he's off to the bathroom, and I said, Mark, don't you ever freak out when like you randomly put pills in your hand and it's the exact right amount? I'm like, isn't that weird? And he's like, yeah. And I said, do you think that maybe like our brains are actually smarter than we think? Like I had dumped that much out and it was the right amount because my brain perceived that it was the right amount. And I don't know that I'm that smart, that genius, whatever. And he, without missing a beat, he goes, no, I think we're living in a computer simulation. And he goes to the bathroom. And I said, then why am I so decrepit? If this is a computer simulation, I wouldn't have so many aches and pains. Anyway, I'm like, oh, that's classic Mark. Yeah. So this is all a fabric of my imagination. A figment of my imagination. And a fabric. It is a fabric. This is all just digital. But it feels nice inside. So anyway, I thought that was hysterical. Like, that is so you.
I got I was wondering about one thing. Because I kind of, I have the, what do you call it, Medicare Advantage. And so I have, allows me certain things that regular Medicare wouldn't do.
Gives you an advantage?
It gives me an advantage. But since I'm on disability, all that kind of stuff, it makes a big difference. And so, but one of the things that I've been hearing about lately is this like grocery allowance. And so I was thinking I need to look into that to see if it.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, how it applies to me or if it applies to me or whatever, because like there's certain like you have an allowance of over the counter stuff, but I haven't really found that because I think you have to order it through the mail or something. I talked to them, and so it's kind of and also I think. Because of the amount I'm allowed, it's not really advantageous, So anyway, but so I was wanting to look at this grocery allowance now, because I may be making a Medicare commercial.
Yeah, you could.
So, yeah. One thing I did get was I got a free nightlight from them because they're like you don't want to fall and all that stuff. If you want to, we'll send you a free nightlight. So yeah.
See, I think that's why Mark makes fun of me. Yeah. Because he's like, what is this, AARP stuff,
Yeah.
He was never more angry than when he started getting AARP mailings.
Yeah.
It makes him so mad. I'm not old. Well, technically.
Well, one of the guys that was a co-creator of The Big Bang Theory, I think it's Bill, I don't know what his name is, Party signing him, but anyway, but I read some article, some interview or something when he was talking about that he got mad when he started getting AARP mailings.
Yep, that's Mark.
Yeah.
I told him, hey, you can order off the senior menu.
Yeah.
Yeah, on his birthday, I said, let's go somewhere where Mark can order off the senior menu. He's like, because I think that one of them is, I think it's, is it Denny's? That's 55.
Yeah.
We told you how we accidentally went on the day that they offer the senior discount at Fry's, and I was talking to Beth about it while we were shopping, and then after we went through the checkout, I said, "Oh man, I forgot to say, to give us the senior discount." I guess my hair is gray enough that they didn't.
I know one time the kid at Harkins gave me a senior discount, and I was mad. But I was like, wait a minute, I paid less.
Yeah, that's when I was living in Little Rock, I think I must have just hit the threshold or whatever. But I went to the movie theater and yeah, the clerk gave me the senior discount without me even asking. I was like, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, when
I went to buy some wine the other day. And the lady came up to, to approve it. And I'm like, I said, do you want to see my ID or look at my gray hair? Or these wrinkles right here?
So when I was in college, I did not look like I was old enough to be in college.
Yeah.
And everybody always thought that I was, I don't know, 16 and I'm, 19, whatever. and now I'm like, that used to annoy me. And now
you're getting.
I don't even get asked if I'm a senior citizen yet.
You're presuming to know my age. Just because I'm gray and old and wrinkled. Leave me alone. Stop it. At least pretend to flatter me. Right? What was I going to say?
I'll tell you, my friend Janet and I, there was, when we were in graduate school in Bloomington, Indiana, and there was a pizza place, and then there was a pizza place with a bar in the back or something. Like there was Bears and Mother Bears or something like that. But one of them, the one with the thing in the back, you had to be over 21 to go to be in the back, and they had a movie thing back there. They would screen movies or whatever. And so you could go back there and you could order food or whatever. And they had door prizes and blah, blah, blah. But you had to be carded to get in there. And she and I were both very flattered that we got carded. Like, I guess we don't look old.
Not yet.
I had a friend when I worked at Family Life, my friend Shauna. She was a lot younger than me. And but she was prematurely gray. And I didn't have any gray hair. Now a few, but not as many. But I didn't have any back then. And so one time she came up, she goes, "No, honestly, Beth, woman to woman, do you dye your hair?" And I'm like, "No," because I think I had like one or two gray hairs, and I'm like, see, I don't dye my hair.
Brother. Oh, I stopped dyeing my hair, so it's just going. It's just going now.
Yeah, I had a friend who I guess had, dyed her hair regularly, and then I don't know if she had some kind of illness or something, and she couldn't dye her hair anymore, and so she had to let it grow out, and so you could tell, when the gray was going out, and she had like a skunk stripe. She had like gray hair up to here, and then down here it was still,
awful.
growing out.
Because I started losing my hair because of my thyroid stuff went on, and so I was like, I can't be mean to my hair anymore. So I'm just letting it be. So it makes it easier to buy things. Not that anyone on earth would mistake me for 21, for under 21. But it's so funny because at work, everyone I work with in the box office they could all be my babies, except for maybe Adam. But even he could have been my baby. I mean, like, they're so young.
Yeah.
And it's just awful. So but now the other half of my job, I think I told you guys, I got another half job. My boss there is an older woman. I'm not sure how old she is, but I think she's older than me. But my eye hurts. Yeah, I guess I need to go to the doctor. Anyway, she's older than me, but we're sort of the same era, right? And she's in finance, right? And so she's talking about the whole. So now I'm like learning all the financial process. It's blowing my mind. But anyway, she's like, I just send, again, if I get a check request that's not right, I just send it back. I'm not your mother. I said, wait a minute, I thought I was everyone's mother. It's so funny. It's so funny. But it's very nice to work with adults. No, I love I love my box office kids. They're my kids, but it's just funny. It's just different, But I got my first, if I tell you I have to kill you document that I worked on the other day. It was a legal document. She says, with the whereas and therefore and all that stuff, in caps and all that. She's like, I want you to rewrite this so that it's all cohesive and everything. And I'm like, okay. Because, like, I'm a writer, right? I'm supposed to be able, and I'm like, I don't know how to format legal documents. So and most of it was, I think, okay already because they had like integrated some other things. I just kind of tweaked it a little bit, but I was like, oh, this is right.
When I lived in Little Rock, I had worked at Family Life for a long time, and then I got laid off, and so I did a bunch of temp stuff. And one of the temp jobs I had was working for the housing authority there in Little Rock. and apparently I got out just in time with that temp stuff because they went through all. I read about all kinds of scandals going on there. I don't know what. But while I was there, one of the things I did, I worked for this guy who did like contracts, like whenever they would say they had to build a new building, they would have, because it was part of the city or whatever, they had to put out bids. So they would say, we want to build this building and it's going to cost this much money, and we want to do this and this. No, well, we want to do build this kind of facility, and that has to have this and has to have that. And so they would put all the specifics in there. And I guess there were so they would, I don't know, they were like little documents that you would just print off, and that had whatever the legal requirements were or whatever. And so different companies in town would
Where was this?
In Little Rock.
Oh.
So different companies would bid on how much, well, we can do it for $15,000, or we could do it for $20,000, whatever. So they would all submit their bids in sealed envelopes, and then on certain days, we would go down there and they would open up the bids, and then they would choose whichever one they were, the lowest one or whatever that we would go with. And so then that company had to have, however many copies of the legal documents that they were going to build, blah, blah, blah. And so I had to learn all this by the seat of my pants, because the lady that I was replacing as a temp, while they did a search for somebody, I think the temp agency that I was signed up with called me up and they said, can you go today at 2:00 to be at this, and so I went, and that was a Wednesday, and her last day was Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So on Wednesday, I said we did contracts for for all the bids and stuff like that, but also we did stuff like check requests for the. Yeah. If they said, oh, we need an electrical switch for this building, and so I had to order the switch, and if somebody so I had to handle all kinds of legal junk and I don't know what all, and I had to learn it very quickly, and then she left, and my boss went on vacation, and so I sat there going. And did a few little trickle-in things, and I'm like, I don't know how to do this job, But fortunately, he liked me a lot, and so I learned a lot of stuff from there. Yeah. But then the girl that when they finally went to hire, some people told me, oh, you should go ahead and apply. You're really good. You should go ahead. And he really liked me, and I kind of thought, well, maybe I could work there for it was kind of a tank. Though the office I was in, there was no windows in my office and no windows in his office. Uh-huh. And only on the other side of the building, I think, where there was a lounge or something, and there were windows there. Because this building used to be, before the housing authority took over, the building used to be I think it was like an auto shop where they did auto body repair stuff, uh-huh. whatever. And so there were no windows because it was like a warehouse kind of thing,
Did you apply?
Yes, I did apply, and but the lady who was in charge of all of it, she didn't even tell the boss when she was looking at the applicants. He didn't get any input. He was he was, I don't know if he wasn't there or whatever, but she just made all these decisions of who she was going to interview or whatever, right? And so they didn't choose me, and I was like, well, okay, whatever. I didn't have that much experience necessarily or whatever, just, for the few weeks that I worked there, or, and so he was kind of telling me, they didn't even ask me. They didn't even tell me they were doing this. He found out,
what
when
kind
they
of
were.
A boss is he? I'm sorry, but don't you think you'd be like, I want to see the people that you're hiring to work with me?
Yeah, well, he told her that apparently, but apparently she, overruled him or something. I don't know. Oh, but so they hired this girl, and she was actually, I think she was somehow related to the woman that hired. Yeah, that was part of the scandal that went on.
I see. Good thing you
got
that.
Yeah, but I guess she had been like a purchaser or whatever in the Navy.
Yeah.
She had been in the Navy and she had done kind of the job that I was doing.
Yeah.
And so I sat with her and showed her the ropes or whatever. But I remember they had put out a bid for somewhere, and this one company had gotten the bid, and so we had to make like 5 copies of the contract stuff, And of course, like I said, most of it was all stuff that you just copied off of a website or whatever, and then but I think the people that got the contract had to like sign every copy or whatever, and then we had so there was a copy for us to keep in the office and all the other copies for all the people involved. So so we had put all these packets together, like 5 packets or whatever for all these contracts, but then we got a notification that we have to replace these pages with these pages, and we're like, okay. So we sat there and we were going through and making sure, and this girl was always like, in my mind, I was thinking, okay, these are basically legal documents. Somebody's gonna have to have on file, blah blah blah. But she was like, she would like paw through them with her, like, I don't know if she had food in her hands or something, and they were like always like, and they would be all crunched, and I'm like, can you just like be a little bit more careful? It's like when you go to school with someone and they have this guy I went to school with, he would take notebook paper to class, but he would have it all folded up in his back pocket, so he'd take it out, so all of his papers were all like, but
oh man.
But then also that time when we were, replacing those pages, I had made all these copies, one for each packet, and so we were going through it methodically, like, taking out these pages and putting in these pages, and we got to the end, and there were like, like 2 copies of the new pages were left, and I'm like, what happened? And so we had to go through it, and I had to do it myself because I'm like, she's just not careful. She's not careful at all,
But so I was happy. My new boss is like, you're really quick and you're really careful and methodical. I'm like, I love organizing stuff. I can't organize anything for myself in my house. But I'm really good at an office like where there's like papers and because like having to. I have to scan documents or create creating check requests, stuff like that. She's like, you're really quick. A lot of people just stare at me. And then, so she was telling me how different funds work and how, how accounting works, and they're going through an audit also. And she was, is it okay if I'm explaining all this to you? I'm like, no, this is fine, because I literally have like no understanding of it. I still barely do, but it's fascinating to me. But she's like, and so we have to put the money here, but then it's a liability, and then we have to put it in the app.
You didn't do like I did when I worked as a graphic designer. We had a client that we worked with mostly engineers and people that, high tech. And this guy was the sweetest, nicest guy, and I was needing to do an illustration for him for a trade show or something. And so he comes in and he sits by me in my office, and he's going, okay, and he starts explaining the science to tell me how to draw this picture, right? And I'm looking at him and I said, Joe, you, engineer, me, artist. Everything you just said went.
Just tell me what it looks like.
Yeah, that's what I said. Tell me what color it is.
Well, when I was in, I guess around the time you and Mark had already graduated, I think you and Mark were already married in Albuquerque, and it was around the time when I was first looking to buy a computer, because I had used the hand-me-down, the old computer we had at our house, and then the old computer they had, and so I decided, okay, I really want to buy my own brand new computer. So it's probably like 1980 or something like that. No, not 80, 1990.
I was married in 1980. I was in middle school.
Like it was like 92 or something thereabouts, because that was when I bought my computer. But so we were all in town for, it must have been Christmas or something. that, so Mark and Naomi were there, and Eve was there, and my brother Tim was there, and they all had various experiences with computers. Mark and Naomi had learned, I think when you were in graduate school, I guess that's where you first started really heavily using it. And my brother, they had computer systems there. He worked at Firestone at the time, and so they had, whatever computer stuff they used there. And then Eve had computer experience through school and through art school and stuff like that. And so I really didn't know anything. I had used our old computer at home, back in the day, and this is the kind that had the 5 1/4 inch floppy disk, and so I could do. You had like a boot disk, and then the disk you wrote on, or something like that. And you had and so I had barely learned how to use that old HP that you guys had, or whatever. And so, but I would go to the store, like Best Buy or whatever, and I'd see the numbers, and I'm like, I don't know what that means. I don't know what any of that means. I don't know. And so I asked, we were all at lunch, and I asked everybody, so what does all mean? And so they were starting to explain to me, and they were talking about the difference between, I guess, Macs and PCs and blah blah blah, and I'm like, it's going. I thought for a second I can grasp it, and then it's gone, and I'm like, I'm the stupidest one at this table, and I'm like, I've never been the stupidest one at the table. Like when we were all in school, I did very well in school, and I'm like, I'm the stupidest one at the table. So yeah, it was very eye-opening, and I'm still not a really a high-tech person. I can barely grasp what I have to grasp, and
Remember when you had a cell phone that you never would answer?
Yes. Well, part of it was that I like.
And she didn't want a smartphone, I remember.
Yeah, and I only got a smartphone in 2015 because I was going out to Los Angeles to go to a taping of The Big Bang Theory, and one of the things that people had talked about was it's nice to have to be able to order. I think this is the first time I used Uber, and and to do food pickup or whatever, because you have to, at one point you have to just basically sit in this area and wait and take your and you want to be there early, and because you have to wait, and blah blah blah. And so I had,
you need a smartphone.
Yes,
I need a smartphone.
I guess.
But then what did you do just the other day? I said that is such an old person thing to do. What is it? Remember, there was something you were like,
she's been having all kinds of technical difficulties.
But there was something I was like, I can't believe you did that. It's such an old person thing to do. What? I can't remember. I have to look it up. But
what is it? Insurance that says people that are becoming their parents?
Oh yeah,
that's
an insurance.
Yeah,
I think
and
so.
And I'm like, okay, you're making fun of me now.
I know. You did something, and I was like, are you kidding me? That's such an old person thing to do.
Well, speaking of smartphones, was it not yesterday, I think, but the day before, somehow my phone was blowing up with spam call. They were calling me like every 5 minutes, because I have like an alarm for 8:30 on my phone. A lot of times I just turn it off because I don't have to go anywhere, but I have it every morning so that I can at least awake a little bit. So anyway, I think like right at 8 o'clock my time, my phone rings, and I had turned off the alarm already, so like
sorry,
I don't know who was calling me, and so I looked at my phone, and it's a spam call, and a lot of times I can tell because they have like area codes I've never heard of, or whatever. But I think the first time I answered it because I don't know, and so it's somebody saying, I don't know what they were saying, but it was obviously a spam call. So I just and then like 5 or 10 minutes later, there it is again, and 5 or 10 minutes later, there's again, and this went on all day long. And so I was like, I was like, either not answering it or hitting the off button or sometimes at one point I got to where like I would answer and then I would hit the okay like I was going to answer and then I just wouldn't say anything. Then after a while they'd hang up.
Yeah.
And I was just like,
I told her answer it and stick it under your pillow.
Or block the number.
Well,
I
told her to do that.
It'll offer all these options, but not blocking the number. So
After the call.
Yeah, anywhere. Like you just can't do it.
No,
And
I know
so-
what it was. I called you and it said, this
Oh my-
person's voicemail isn't set up yet. I was like, that is an old people move.
I could have sworn it was. I mean,
And it's
because,
a lot.
I don't know. I guess I never looked into it or something. Because I had thought it was for sure.
Is
But
that a new phone?
No,
Oh.
it's
I got it around the time we moved out here.
Oh, I
So
don't know.
yeah.
Oh,
But
talking
but
about
yeah. So
talking about technology. So I was just laughing because Eli is selling his old Galaxy tablet, which isn't that old, but because he has an iPad now, and the funny story is, okay, this is the way the story goes. Eli had an iPad. Mark had an iPad moons ago, and how old iPads go. They need to be updated, and you can't update them anymore. And then blah blah blah. And he kind of broke the screen and whatever, so he hasn't used it in a long time. And then Eli bought himself an iPad, and then Hannah bought himself an iPad. Hannah bought an iPad, and she wanted to get and then so they both had iPads, and then after a while, Eli wasn't using his iPad anymore, and he's like, I never use this. I said, can I buy it from you? And he said, okay. So I paid him, I don't know what, for his iPad. So then I had an iPad. And I used that iPad regularly. Hannah had hers. And then she wanted to get a pen, one of those pens that you can draw with on iPads. So she bought it, and she thought she had the right iPad for it. And it wasn't compatible, because thanks, Apple. And it turns out maybe Hannah had one first. Now I'm thinking about it. Hannah's was older. She had one first, and then Eli got his. And then I bought it from him. And then Hannah bought the pen, and the pen wouldn't work with hers, but found out that it worked with Eli's. And she said, Mom, could we switch iPads? And I said, okay. So I gave my iPad, which was Eli's, to Hannah. Hannah gave me her iPad, so I had Hannah's iPad. And I was very happy. And Hannah was happy. And then a little while later, Hannah, we decided to buy her a full-size iPad because at her summer festival, she used her iPad with music with a foot pedal, and she turns the page with her foot, and so she's been reading music on them because you can keep so much music on there, right? You don't have to carry paper. And I saw her like this playing, and I'm like, maybe she needs a full-size iPad. So anyway, we got her a full-size iPad. So then Hannah's iPad, the smaller one that was this size, we got her the big one. And the smaller one went to... It went to Mark. That's right. It went to Mark. So Mark had it, and he was sort of using it for like game things and stuff. He didn't use it a lot. So I had Eli's. No.
You had Hannah's old one.
I had Hannah's old one. Mark had Eli's old one, and Hannah had a new one.
Uh-huh.
And then I bought one for our dad. And when Dad passed away, I took the iPad back, and I said, I'm going to use this iPad, and Mark, you can have the one that I had.
Hannah's old one.
But then it turned out, for some reason, it was better. There was some compatibility or something, or I think this one has more memory. So I gave Dad's iPad to Mark, and then there was an extra iPad. So Eli got that iPad, which was his original iPad.
That's really hilarious.
So, that's the story of the rotating iPads.
Well, that makes me feel. I keep wondering about my iPad because right now it's kind of a brick because it hasn't been updated and it's just sitting there. And part of the problem is that when I set it up, I had a different email address than I have now, and you know, it wants to update it. You know, it'll say, "Oh, you need to update this." Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know, I can't access the email that it was on originally, and I don't think and various other things. I think I've updated. I don't know if I have still updated my Apple ID or whatever. But so I have,
that's always fun.
And I think I called about it at one point, and it's, you know, it's so old that they're, well, we don't support that anymore. Blah blah blah.
Yep.
And so.
Well, we weren't even going to attempt to update Mark's old one, his old one. But so, but we've been talking a long time.
Yes.
So, happy mid-January. One of our board members said that he always says, you can't say Happy New Year after the 7th of January. So I will no longer say Happy New Year, but I will say Happy January. And thank you for joining us for one more week of nonsense. And we hope you guys are great, and we hope all of your crafting is going well.
And whoever gave us our...
and thank you so much for these patterns.
Yes.
Let us know who you are and everything. And I hope you're not too cold up there in Illinois. My goodness. It's almost getting warm here, although I heard it's supposed to rain tomorrow.
Yeah, it's supposed to go down to 60 something.
Ooh, chilly.
It's cooler today than it's been.
Yeah, it is. It is. Well, thanks for joining us another week, and you have a good week. Bye. See you next week. I said week a lot.
Yeah.
Bye.